Yo, what's good? This is the Press Release Podcast. I'm your host, Pro Bowl wide receiver, here with my co-host, Super Bowl champion Prince Amukamara. What's good, man?
Was good, was good, was good, man. Lots to talk about.
It is a lot to talk about. We was actually talking before we started the show. But first up, just to kind of intro some of the topics and talk through what we're talking through today. NCAA tournament obviously is coming to the end of March Madness. We're now in the Sweet 16, I believe.
Sweet 16, yes, sir.
Sweet 16, Nebraska is still fighting. They play tomorrow, Thursday. Do you know who they play?
Iowa.
Okay. Will you be
Yeah.
going to that game?
No, I will not
Will
be.
you go up there and make the Final Four?
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
I'm not. I mean, come on, it's like spring season. Kids in school, kids are doing sports. It's like,
I
come
feel
on.
that. I feel that.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm jealous because I've been calling for Penn State to hopefully get it together on the basketball side for a very long time now. I feel like the area in which they are being in PA, I feel like it's a lot of neighboring basketball areas to them. They have a nice arena. Some even said the arena may be too big, but I'm a little bit jealous this time of year because I don't have anything to really root for. I'm from Michigan, but I hate Michigan. Uh, I hate Michigan State.
Wow.
So, but Penn State, come on now. Next up, flag football. We're gonna dive into it a little bit more, but it was a lot of talk this week. You said players was getting bags. I know you're kind of
Yeah, that's word on the street, man.
one.
Word on
One
the
might say
street.
you might be a pocket watcher, but
No. I will say that. Yes, I
you a
watch
pocket
people's.
watcher?
Yeah, I see how much before I play a dude. I like to see how much he's getting paid.
Okay. Pocket watching P. That's what we calling you now. But flag football, man, it was the USA or the guys who've played for the USA flag team. They said that they didn't think, they want to show off that NFL players can't just come out there and have their way with them. And that was something that they kind of took a little personally. But we're gonna dive into that a little bit more as well. Draft also. This is the time of year where it's a lot of overreactions, a lot of buildup. You hear quote unquote from sources, guys stop dropping for in certain cases it might be quarterbacks with small hands. You have D linemen with short arms, O linemen with. So this is the time where you start to hear a lot as people make out their draft boards and some of the free agent stuff has panned out. I also want to get into the Ty Simpson versus Mendoza conversation as well, which will be fun for us. New coaches in OTAs, just what's that like and the experiences of having a new coach during OTAs and the timeline in which that may change or be a little bit different than normal. And we had some guys get paid. We had some market resets now at a couple positions over the past few weeks within free agency, also some extensions, and there will be some soon to be some more extensions. But let's start off with the draft rumblings, the quarterback position. Ty Simpson versus Mendoza. That's been a common comparison as far as what their tape looks like. Ty Simpson only played or started 15 games. Fernando Mendoza, I believe, 34. So their sample sizes aren't at all equal. Who do you give the edge to, or who do you like? Some even said Fernando Mendoza hasn't played in big games. It's a lot of rumblings out there, which it normally is around this time. Do you think Fernando Mendoza is far and away the clear-cut best quarterback here? Or do you think a team who's in a position to draft the second quarterback might get the better player of the two?
Yeah, I mean that's just talk. I mean, I haven't evaluated both of those guys closely as of yet, but I mean, whatever is said about Mendoza, it was said about him in Cal. Okay, he goes to Big Ten. Now look at him. I mean, big games. He played Ohio State and that defense, and then he goes on to
Plays
win.
Miami, which has
Plays
some
Miami,
pros on
which is
there as well.
yes, and then goes on and just tough kid, and then goes on to not only win the national championship but wins the Heisman Trophy, and he doesn't win with his feet. He just wins with winning, and he wins with his arm. So I mean that's tough. You always see like oddball, like odd predictions or odd takes come out and out of nowhere, no one's ever heard anything
And
of.
why do you think that is?
I think I mean, it could be, it could be, what's the word I'm looking for? It could just be something to throw us off. It's just something for us to look at, or whatever, just distract us. But I feel like if you don't take Fernando Mendoza, I mean, it's a clear cut. Now,
The-
I'm I'm referencing what I saw, the Pat McAfee and the Dan Orlovsky. I saw that discussion. Pat was just like, "Yo, like, what are we talking about here? Like, Fernando's that guy. Like, look at what he's done. Like you said, look at his tape."
I
And
have a
not
question for you though. I
yeah,
want to stop you right there if you don't mind. I have a question for you. Well, actually, I want to present something to you and ask you: is this a overreaction or what do you take from this? All round one quarterbacks with fewer than 300-yard passing games in their final college season since 2009, power conference only. I'm gonna say the first part again. All round one quarterbacks that were taken in the first round with fewer than two 300-yard passing games. The list goes Christian Ponder, Fernando Mendoza, JJ McCarthy, Jake Locker, Tim Tebow. And that's the end of the list for quarterbacks who went in round one and had fewer than two 300-yard passing games in their final college season.
and so I would say that that's skewed because Tim Tebow didn't win a Heisman Trophy in his final college season. Mendoza did. So I mean, I can't. I mean, it's a pretty good. It's it's a stat, but what
Well,
I
and why do I say that and bring that up? Because I think like anyone, when you're typically drafted number one overall, your team sometimes, in most cases, isn't the greatest. That coming year is going to be a lot of passing the football. And for guys who don't have a lot of experience with doing that on a consistent basis, how we talked about 85% of NFL games end in one score, which means in the fourth quarter, you can go from 2 minute to 4 minute to 2 minute. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes, in some cases, guys spend the entire fourth quarter passing the ball based on the situation and circumstances. So I think when people like Dan Orlovsky have their takes, there are specifics that they may feel and that they may bring up that may be concerns when you just look at a player and it's not the person who, example, we've seen the Heisman Trophy Cam Newtons. We've seen guys like Kyler Murray. We saw guys like
Caleb
Baker
Williams.
Mayfield and what they've done in college and what that looked like and just the overall presence and eye test. We all see those things and we all have those. So I think it's some of the concerns of more so the style of play and that having to fit rather than just knowing that I have a quarterback that I can draft that can throw the ball 40 plus times any given day and I'm good with that.
Right, but yeah, that's probably not what he was asked to do. I mean, he had a
I
great
agree.
rookie game, and so yeah, I mean, it's almost like, hey, did, I remember there was knocks on Cam Newton because of like the play call. Like I think he said his play calls were just numbers. Hey, we just called number one, we just called two. But then he goes in the league and is reading the play calls like, I think all that doesn't. That's just hoopla. It doesn't mean nothing. And I do want to say this: the thing with stats is what I've been learning in school right now is that, um,
You in school?
yeah, yeah, I'm in school. So what I've been learning is correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. So that means, for example, you could say, um, as the temperature gets hotter, it's like that affects ice cream sales. Ice cream sales are going up. Like, and that's a stat, those are facts. But yeah, but just because you have to do more research, just because it's getting hotter doesn't mean that's the reason why people are buying ice cream or whatever. So with that stat, I mean, just because there hasn't been a lot of um 300-yard games in those guys final season, and we know the body of work of what those guys have done in the league thus far, and so we don't have to say it, but I don't think that. I think that's a nothing burger. I don't think that's a big deal.
Okay, listen. I feel not respect that, and when it comes to Ty Simpson, he's on the opposite of that. You know, he's a guy who has some of the athleticism, has some of the raw and
Yeah.
talent that people all over, and but his lack of experience is something that can come into play. But look for him to be drafted in the, I would say, second half of the first round. But again, as time progressed, he made it
You said, hold
himself
on, you said second half? I'm
of
thinking,
the first round, meaning
yeah,
like
but I'm thinking he's
I
gonna
can
go.
see him going from pick 15 to 30, but I was going to say I could also see him going early. Again,
Yeah.
there will be a lot of teams meeting with guys, and sometimes teams just really find guys that they enjoy to coach and be around, and those guys get drafted higher. But looking at some mock drafts, some stock rising, stock falling, best player in the draft, stock rising is a guy who just absolutely killed the combine with Sonny Styles. I've seen mock drafts of him being going as high as two.
Is that
Um,
to what?
Number two overall
Is that the is that the corner or the linebacker?
linebacker.
Number two?
Yeah. They have him going in the top five. Some teams. I mean, it's going to be very interesting based on how the rest of the
I
off
know
season plays out with meetings and stuff.
I know he killed the combine. I mean, the numbers he ran is the numbers.
Combine destroyer.
Yes, but does his tape show that also? Have you seen his tape?
Yeah, I mean, he has good tape. He has good tape. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, it comes down to, again, when we get into times like this, it comes down to coaches seeing athleticism and seeing different ability and feeling that they can make that work on the
Yes,
field,
very
which
true.
is a lot of this process when you get to these
Yes,
uber athletes. You know, because again, we know how it is in college. Sometimes schematically, you may not been used. I remember Michael Parsons coming out. He played a lot of inside linebacker at Penn State before he ended up being a pass rusher. You know, so you have different circumstances and situations where the athleticism takes over. Do you have a favorite player in this draft or a player that you like?
I would say Bane
Okay.
from Miami. Yeah,
And I mean,
I
he's a player that people have said stock is dropping a little bit
yeah,
based on his size. But when you look at his overall skill set, the power in which he's able to get to his pass rush moves and things of that nature, and his bend of getting around the corner, I think he does some of those things at such a elite level that I think they'll trump the issue with him having shorter arms,
yeah,
because that's been a very big deal throughout this process of evaluation here.
yeah. I don't know what the big deal is. Is like, can the guy play or not? I mean, these dudes, these people try to over like oversimplify things. And I mean, the only thing you cannot test at the combine obviously is the heart. Like you can't
I
test
agree.
the heart, you can't test the mindset and stuff like that.
I think it's more so when you're drafting this high.
Yes, you do
People
have
want
to
to be
nitpick
sure.
100%.
People want to be sure because I mean, again, I mean, contractually, obviously, for some of these guys, this is the least amount that they will be paid. And for teams who are drafting a quarterback, it's a year where you don't have that crazy cap hit at the quarterback position. So you have certain factors at different positions where people want to try to be as secure as possible when it comes to some of these first round picks, which is why I don't think it's sometimes as simple as just how good is the player, how, you know, and just what did his film look like. But moving on a little bit, we talked about this early on. Flag football, Team USA versus the rest. It was a teams mixed up of celebrities and also current football players and former football players. Now we were talking about this. I mean, you know, pocket watching Pete, you said it's a bag in it, but to the actual game itself, the flag guys said that they came into the game knowing that the NFL players and celebrities wouldn't be able to, or I guess them wanting to show that it takes a lot more than just being able to step on the field. How do you feel about that? I mean, you play a little bit of flag, no?
No, not a lot, but I did this past week also.
And
But my
how'd you feel out there, if you don't mind me asking?
I felt good. I felt great. I felt. But the thing is, this though, is that it is a different game. It's a different sport. It's a different
I
strategy.
agree.
It's different personnel. Like, no offense to Luke Kuechly, but we don't need a linebacker out there. Like you even said, like you're gonna get like the Tutu Atwells. You're
Tutu
gonna
Atwells. And I say that because sometimes, man, this is my thing. Shout out to the flag team and the people who play flag football. But the NFL is just different, you know. And when I say it's different, meaning that some of your top NFL players may not be as, I guess, they may not adapt to a less physical game as well, but you do have some guys who are in the NFL that if you took some of the physicality out of the game, they would be extraordinary. I've seen
right.
I've seen players like a Tutu Atwell. If you can't get your hands on him, you won't be able to do nothing at all with him. Your only shot on an NFL field is for you to get your hands on him. So if you were to put somebody like that in that game and play flag, I think he would be able to have his way a little bit. I mean, he's literally lightning fast.
100%, 100%. And those
And
and
it's a
that's
different game, you know.
that's the type of personnel you have. Like I remember, like Sports Center put out a clip of Speed doing a spin move on Pat P. Like, ooh, it's just like, I mean, again, I guess I'm judging it from like a tackling football criteria, but that's the thing. Like, if that's football, like Pat P's gonna boom him and stuff like that. Ain't no shaking. He's gonna run through
And
him.
and not to mention, Pat Pete is built for contact. Like Pat Pete, from the time he probably was in high school, lifting weights, like a lot of guys, those guys are meant for a physical and contact sport. And that's a lot of prep and lifting and different things like that, like I said before. But when you take some of the maybe not even smaller, but just players who are probably built for less contact, you're going to see a different level of speed and agility from those guys. I would have loved to see Tutu Atwell, Jameer Gibbs, Hn from the Dolphins. I would have loved to see some of those guys participate and really compete just to see what it looks like. But shout out to flag football. Shout out to the evolution of flag football and seeing that evolve under the umbrella of the NFL. Obviously, it's a Olympic game now as well. So guys will be competing to try to make that Olympic team. And I've seen different guys put their bids out on Twitter to say that they want to be a part of it. So I'm looking forward to watching
Yeah,
it.
I,
I
I,
really
I for
am.
sure do. I
Now,
for sure do for the country of Nigeria. If
will
Nigeria
you
puts on a
will
team,
you
100%.
participate?
If Nigeria puts on a team, 100%.
I mean, you should kind of be the spearhead for that.
I think they have something going on. His name, Bobby Okereke, I think is doing something with that.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So we'll
You got to
see.
get on
Yeah,
it, P. The Olympics right
I
around the
would love,
corner now.
I would love to, man. I would
Come
love to.
on, man. Super Bowl P. Tell them, bro. You coming in to lock it down, man. But moving on, new coaches, OTAs. Why do I bring up new coaches and OTAs? Because for anybody who's gone through an OTA period, know what it's like when you have a new coach. You have two mini camps. You have to report earlier. I believe the teams who have the new coaches report not next week, but the following week. So football is almost back. So this time of year now is starting to pick up. Have you been a part of a team that has had a new coach or new regime when you came in, and what was that like?
Yeah, I mean it was Nagy. So I mean we got to come in early. We got to and we got to work on things early, conditioning early, shorter break period, and then we had to come back early for training camp and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And
Well,
we
we had the Hall of Fame game that year, so
yes,
we had to be back early, early.
early, exactly. So it was so it was double. It was
I
double.
had it twice. I had it with Nagy, but the first time I had it with Tom Coughlin. Funny
Oh,
story
Lord.
happening with Tom
Why do you
Coughlin.
keep saying Tom Coughlin like he coached?
Listen, man, my coaches told me they report to one person, the dude with the floppy hat, and that was Tom Coughlin. Tom used to be out there with his little notepad and stuff.
Wow.
He didn't coach, but the rules that were set in place was his rules when it came to cleat color, sock color, all that kind of stuff. But when the Tom Coughlin regime, I should say, came in, we got text from the team that said y'all have to report early. The NFLPA followed up and said, no, y'all do not, because we kept Doug Marrone, who was the interim coach from last season. So leading up to OTA time, it was this back and forth with the NFLPA telling us not to listen to the team and what they're sending us, and then the team telling us not to listen to the NFLPA because we fall under the criteria to have to come back early. And I remember that being a thing. And we end up, I want to say, I think they may have split it. We may have come back like a week early or something like that, end up being the middle ground. So Tom Coughlin kind of won in that situation a little bit. But I remember that being the thing, man, and me talking to Alan Hearns and Marquise Lee trying to figure out, yo, like, what are y'all like what's going on here? What we gonna do? Are we going back early? Are we not? And I think we end up going back a little bit early, but that was the first time. And then the second time was when I was in Chicago, which I didn't mind because we had Nagy. I had kind of come there for Nagy. I was nursing an injury at that time, so I was already there and rehabbing and stuff like that from the time I signed. Luckily, I passed my physical. That was something that I was pretty nervous about coming off the ACL, was if they would fail me for my physical and then the money would be dried up. And then what? But that didn't happen. That didn't happen, ladies and gentlemen. That did not. But I I think I saw you with a former Green Bay Packer quarterback over the weekend.
Yeah, Aaron,
You got any inside scoop on that? Do you think he'll be back?
bro.
I don't know if he
Asked him
told you or
straight
not. Do
up.
you think?
I asked him straight up. You don't have no filter. I asked him straight up, and it's so funny because Will Howard, it was like I mean Will Howard loved Aaron, and so Will Howard was like, man, I hope he's like, man, I hope Aaron plays, but like just doesn't hope that he comes back to the Steelers because Will's trying to get busy and
Yeah,
stuff like. But the feeling I got, I would say that he plays, man. But I would say also that he's content, even if he doesn't
yeah,
play. I feel like
I feel
he's
that.
good. Yeah. So
And with that, kind of what you just brought into the mix, Will Howard, Aaron Rodgers, Ty Simpson is a guy that people have on mock drafts that the Steelers could potentially draft. And I say that because you're a person who's high on a Will Howard. I've heard the Steelers organization, they've been high on Will Howard. And do you think he'll be able to get a chance this year to kind of show what he has? Obviously, he was drafted a little bit later last year, but coming from Ohio State, having a little bit of experience and a pedigree that he has, do you think he'll have an opportunity to be able to show some of what he has this season?
talking about Will,
Will Howard.
100%.
And again, and I say that because obviously the Aaron Rodgers thing is looming. You have Will Howard, and then you also have the potential of them drafting Ty Simpson if he
Yeah.
drops and goes a little bit later, maybe in that second half of the first round, or then maybe being able to trade up to get him. So it's kind of a situation for, you know, the Steelers who are going into the season right now with a 6th round pick as the lead guy. In most cases and in scenarios, there's going to be some additions to the room.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. But I think Will sit nice. And I mean, I'm not a receiver, but he was thrown to me, and he could spin that thing.
Can you catch?
Come on now.
Listen, man, they be saying DBs got brick hands. I didn't know if you was one of them
I
brick hand DBs or
I
not.
hear DBs are just receivers who like to hit.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I
Not
hear.
receivers who can't catch.
Uh, how you gonna
Interesting.
be a receiver if you can't catch? You
That's
can't.
that's why they are DBs. That's what they say.
Uh,
DBs are receivers who couldn't catch.
man, we like.
Now, this next topic I put in here because I want to give a message to some of the younger guys out there. And I label this one as setting precedents for guys who are maybe in their second, third year, who have never, or fourth year, who've never experienced a coaching change. And I say guys in those years because they're on their first contracts, and I wouldn't necessarily categorize them as vets yet. So for those guys who may not have experienced a new coaching change, when you have a new regime come in, you have to set the precedence of who you're going to be and establish your identity for that coach as a guy who's being very consistent. I say that because in this league, when the coaching staff that drafted you is gone, things change. When the GM that drafted you is gone, things change. Everything is not always as it was last year, laughing, jokey, you're a rookie, you have some grace, you have some gray area to mess up a little bit, and you'll learn. When that new coaching staff comes in, All that's out the window. They're looking for ball players and ball players only. So for the younger guys who have and who are on some teams and experience some coaching changes, man, take this OTA period seriously, man. Put some good stuff on tape. Show your coaches that they can consistently believe in you and depend on you to be where you at. And granted, it's not pads or nothing, but set the foundation so once you go into training camp, people know your identity and know who you are as a guy who's just kind of up and down throughout OTAs and already putting yourself behind the eight ball when it comes to making a team in training camp.
100%, 100%. It's you get to show off. It's a new impression. You get to recreate yourself. I mean, the coaches
And
have
that's
seen
for the good or for the bad.
100%, 100%, and that's and the coaches have probably seen a little bit of film on you beforehand. But like you said, it's a new clean slate, and I think for the most part it works out for the best because again, whatever reputation you had before, and I'm sure people are in his ears. Okay, this player, this player, this player, but what shows up on the tape shows up on the tape. And so whatever you can put out there from OTAs, even just killing it in the weight room, the strength
Everything. And because
report.
everybody, the coaches notice the things, and it's just more so about how consistent are you and how consistent can you be. If you were a guy who last year wasn't consistent, may have been inconsistent for whatever the reasons are, right now is your time and your opportunity to start with a clean slate. Because at the end of the day, those coaches are going to talk to some of the people who are still there, and they're going to say this player, this player, this player was some people who were inconsistent, but you have the opportunity to change that and give yourself a different trajectory once that coach comes in for you to be able to learn. So for the young guys, please take note during OTA time, man. Don't just use it as a time to really lock in and give yourself an edge with the new coaching staff.
Well said.
Now, I have a question for you, P. Which team will have the best season of the teams that just got new coaches? Last year, when we talked about this, it wasn't quite around this time. It was more so around training camp. I thought the Raiders weren't going to do too much. I didn't think New England was going to do too much. I didn't think Jacksonville was going to do too much. And two out of those three teams certainly surprised me. Got to the playoffs. One of those teams even got to the Super Bowl and made a deep run. Jacksonville was impressive all season. Which team with a new coach this year do you think it will be? The New England Patriots, the Jacksonville Jaguars, or the Chicago Bears of this year with a new regime?
Who do you think I'm gonna say?
Oh, you got to go Big Blue. You
Yeah,
got to go
yeah.
big. All right, can we get a number two though? Can we get a number
Uh,
two?
but hold on, but I'm saying Big Blue obviously because of the type of coach in a John Harbaugh, like the type of respect that he demands, the type of culture that he creates, and how they performed in the offseason thus far. So go with them, and then second, I would say. I mean, shoot, we don't even know what the draft with the Raiders yet.
You know who
Uh,
they're gonna draft, man. The pick's
yeah,
already in.
I like. I
Tennessee
want.
Titans, maybe Robert Saleh, your
That's what.
guy. You played
Yeah,
for
and Gus. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I like that. I want to go with. I want to go with Tennessee. Yeah, because
Tennessee. They have Daboll as the OC, a former head coach. Gus Bradley, former head coach. Robert Saleh. They
yep.
added some weapons in free agency. They kept Calvin Ridley. Added Wandale Robinson. Cam Ward now has a time to play with a coach who thought very highly of him the previous year, and they wanted to trade up to try to get him, but they ultimately didn't in New York, and um they got your boy at quarterback. So I like Tennessee Titans as well, man. It's always interesting. It's always interesting because you have those teams, and you also have the teams who are like the Commanders, who when you have a Jaden Daniels in his first year, you go deep into the playoffs to the divisional round, and you think you're one piece away, and then you take significant steps back.
Yeah, but you take
So
significant steps back because inconsistency at the quarterback. I mean, Jaden was hurt and stuff like that.
Jaden was hurt, but some of that inconsistency started in the offseason. Remember, Terry McLaurin
Oh, Terry
was late
McLaurin.
to
Yeah,
get his contract. He missed training camp. So it
yeah,
was some ups and some downs. And I say that because when you look at a team like New England and where can they go from there, it may be a little bit more difficult than expected as far as taking that next step when you lose in the divisional round or when you lose in the Super Bowl. Because I mean, they've showed some guys, really a lot of guys at the quarterback position, don't even get back after the time that they found that success or made it to the Super Bowl in year two. They really do struggle to get back. I mean, just off the top of my head, the likes of Joe Burrow, who got there as a young quarterback and is still fighting and battling and itching and clawing to be able to get back. Now, this is not on the new coaches topic, but this came to mind because I saw him speak. And with us now seeing a lot of veterans playing ball, you talked earlier about Odell Beckham and him possibly getting some calls based on the time that he had in the flag football game and people seeing him. We've seen Tom Brady at his age spin the ball in the flag. And even when he was playing, he felt like he could still spin the ball. Joe Flacco signed today with the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you think he showed enough last year to be a starting quarterback in the NFL for this season?
100%.
So why do you think that is? Why do you
It's
think that is?
age. It's just age, and they don't. If you're a team right now, you don't. Yes, he's still good, but I feel like there's still better options.
Do you
Unfortunately,
think that would have been a good situation for a team like the Arizona Cardinals?
they already have Jacoby Brissett.
For a team like the Las Vegas Raiders, you're going to draft Fernando
Yes,
Mendoza,
100%.
but
So yeah,
having a vet in
fine.
the room so he doesn't have that pressure. Because I know
Yes,
everybody likes to say for guys not to play right away. God
yeah,
forbid somebody plays right away. I know people like to have that and like to set that precedence of guys not playing right away. So, do you just think it's an age thing
100%. It's an
rather
age.
than the actual ability that player still has?
100% for sure. It's definitely an age thing, and it's an age thing, and it's a status thing. I mean, if it's an Aaron Rodgers is going to start still, and stuff like that. But I think with what Joe Flacco did for the Browns, then goes and do it and does it for the same for the Bengals, and I mean he made Pro Bowl this year. Granted, a lot of people said no to it, but he still made Pro Bowl, and so I feel like for sure he did enough. And so what he should have did was, I mean, do what everyone else does in that age is just sit out and wait till your number's called. But it sounds like he really
Well,
wants to play.
yeah, and two, I think that's easier said than done in a sense of I know for him as a quarterback, he probably didn't just enjoy coming off the street and having to learn the playbook, then being traded, because that's a lot to take on. When it's like, I want to play anyway. I don't know if I'll be able to just start. At least I can show what I have and go through preseason and go through OTAs, go through some joint practices. Teams may be able to see what I still have. And if it comes time and I have to get traded, then I have to get traded, but I'm still participating and I'm around the guys and throwing and doing things that I would normally do anyway. So I think there is a slight benefit when it comes to that rather than pulling a Phillip Rivers. We didn't even mention him. We saw him last year coming off the street at what, 44, 45 years old?
Yes, and looked good in my eyes.
And you had him going to the Super Bowl because of the storyline.
Mm, that would have been nice.
But to the big money guy, to the market, resetting the market. I was gonna say the market resetter, same thing, man. It was some guys that got paid some big money over the past couple weeks, but especially this week. Jackson Smith Njigba signed a 4-year, $168.6 million contract extension with the Seattle Seahawks, becoming the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. The deal includes over 120 million in guarantees and averages 42.15 million annually. This extension locks him in through 2031. Shout out to Jackson Smith Njigba, man. He had a phenomenal season. And we also was talking, man, them Ohio State guys
Oh my gosh, they
and
need to
them
create. They
breaking
need to
the
create
bank
an
at the
NIL
receiver
fund.
position.
They need to just create an NIL fund. Each of them put $1 million in there and let that just grow and just create and always get the best receiver coming out of high school.
That's smart. Hey, bro, we in the Big Ten now, man. You might be talking a little too
You're
much.
right.
You're
Yeah,
giving a little
you're
competitive
right. Well,
advantage.
shoot, then we need to create one.
Who? Come on,
who,
Nebraska.
who?
But but yeah, man, he got paid, and I bring that up because it's so interesting. Because when you have situations like that, the guys who are looming around to be paid, your George Pickens of the world,
They're
that
excited.
number just
Yeah.
that price.
I always say this. Let me say this. Let me look into these GM's eyes, the decision makers' eyes. The longer you wait, the more expensive the player gets. It always happens. It always happens. Like
And why do you think they choose to wait though?
the
The thought
bargaining.
behind that
Yeah,
is?
I would say that they're thinking like the player's gonna budge or the agent's gonna budge
You think so?
or they're thinking like something's gonna happen to the player, whether like some news comes out or something to where it affects their value. Yeah, because it's like why are we like listen, if no, I want to say this. If I was ever in that top position where it's like a Patrick Mahomes or whatever, I was like, hey, we're not waiting till training camp the day before. Like stop playing around. Like just give me my bread. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're
No,
not
I
doing
feel
that.
that. I
Like
feel that.
they
But
always do that. They
also,
always wait until the day before the season starts. Okay, now you're trying to pay me. It's like
but also, you have teams like the Los Angeles Rams where they don't care. They had paid a price. They know Puka
yeah.
Nacua price tag just went up, but they get their deals done over the
But the
summer.
news, then I mean, I don't like to talk about him, but the news that's been coming, he's not helping himself that much. He needs and he's just
Respect.
out. You about to get paid. Listen, if I'm about to get paid, I'm locking myself in a room.
What you say?
Like,
You like yourself in a room and bubble wrap
yeah,
with bubble wrap,
man,
huh?
just chill out, man. But yeah,
Also another contract resetter, market resetter, excuse me, was Tyler Lindenbaum, the center who came
yeah,
from the Baltimore Ravens. The GM for the Ravens also said prior to free agency that he was the best center in the league, which helped his stock out obviously a lot. Tyler Lindenbaum signed a record-setting 3-year, $81 million deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. This deal, which makes him the highest paid center in the NFL. And I believe the next guy behind him is at $17 million per
wow.
year.
And this that has to be NFL history, right? He is the highest paid center in NFL history. It has to be. No,
I'm not 100% sure.
no
I would
has
assume
ever got.
I don't have that specific information or detail, so I don't
Yeah,
like to assume, but I would probably say so based on where he's getting paid and
yeah.
what that number is. It says he surpassed Creed Humphrey as the highest paid center, increasing the previous salary average at the position by 50%.
Wow.
So shout out to the O lineman. Y'all should be
Agent.
clapping y'all hands
Yeah.
together for him. Any interior O linemen, centers, guards, centers who might are gonna face a franchise tag, man. He just drove that number a significant amount. And when guys do that for each other, as far as taking the best deals in the league, they continue to compile, and the deals can get better and better and better. And I was going to say, what does it mean for future markets? That's exactly what it means, man. When you have player friendly contracts that are increasing by 50% in a year basis, man. Shout out to those guys for getting it done and making it happen, man, because everybody across the board reaps the benefit of that. Now, that's all I got for this week, man. We have college basketball, Sweet
Yes, sir.
16,
Yep.
Nebraska Cornhuskers
Versus the Iowa Hawk
versus
Highs.
the Iowa Hawkeyes. Are you putting any bread on that game? Do you have any?
Nah, I
Have you
don't
been
touch.
betting that on, man? You've been a little quiet on the bets during the
I
season, man. You was hitting big time,
I don't touch
big
basketball.
money, big numbers.
I don't touch basketball. But yeah, this
Okay,
should be a
okay.
great game, and what we've been hearing, like Nebraska fans bring it. They've been creating such a fun atmosphere to play in. They travel well,
I
and
always loved playing in Lincoln. It was always a good time. Always was exciting, man. It was fun, and I say that because I know they're gonna bring the fan base out. You guys just have one of those fan bases that support all their teams, whether that be volleyball, football, basketball, whatever the case may be. You guys come out and support. So shout out to y'all. Next week we'll also be talking a little bit more as OTAs will start the following week. So we'll kind of dive into that and what it's like going through that process and kind of how you're packing things up. And for some guys, the off season is pretty much over. You get a little break after OTA time, but at the end of the day, it's now almost that time of year to lock back in and create a plan that's going to allow you to have success in the NFL, and we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. Until next time, this is the Press Release Podcast.